I'm not obsessed with being prepared, but I am definitely very passionate about living. I want to live a very long time and a very long, full, happy life. But I know in my heart, when I look at the times we're living in, I know we do have to prepare for inevitable problems that are going to arise. So I've been thinking to myself, how can I help others through my experiences and stuff I've learned over the years to teach you guys what to do in these situations. That way you're better prepared and so is your family for an emergency. So today I'm going to teach you guys all about being prepared for WROL. I've got 6 very easy steps. I'm going to share some stuff with you. Hopefully you guys will learn something from this, or at least reinforce your ideas about it. Or maybe you could add to this in the comments or video responses. I'd love to know what you guys think, because this is stuff I've kind of put together myself just through my learning. So let's get started. Let's talk about being prepared for the inevitable problems that will arise. We'll start off with number 1. So I made this little graphic to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. Right here in the red, you see a 1. That 1 in the red represents yourself. It represents everything personal about you. Not your loved ones, not your neighbors, not your friends. Everything about you. Think of this video as an assessment video for yourself. You guys need to write stuff down, take notes, look at your weaknesses, and think about it after this video is done. So anyway, let's talk about the personal stuff. Remember, be honest. It's critical to be honest with yourself in this video. I'm not there to hold your hand, and neither is anybody else. Someday this might come down to you and what you do with yourself. So the first thing you guys need to do is get a piece of paper out and start writing things down. You may have been preparing for years and years and years, or you may have just started, but that doesn't matter. Right now we're going to talk about your theoretical knowledge. These are things you've learned over the years by reading, by watching YouTube, by watching videos, by watching others that you haven't tried yet. These are skills you want to learn but haven't got to. You guys need to write this stuff down, because we really want to advance and progress so you're actually doing this stuff. That way later on you can have those skills practiced. So after you get that done, save that list to the side, because you're going to go over it later. The next thing you need to do is look at your applied knowledge. You may have watched those videos and thought it was awesome. Hey, I want to go start a fire, so I went out and practiced starting a fire. It's applied knowledge. Stuff that you've learned or listened to, you've taken now and you've practiced, and you've taken your error and learned how to make it better. Applied knowledge. It's advancement. Think about it as that. You really want to progress, and the best way to do that is to practice your skills. You don't want to be learning stuff on the fly if something is to happen in emergencies. The next thing we're going to talk about is preparation. Personal preparation. What have you done for yourself? Have you learned these skills? Have you put away food? Have you put away water? Do you have stuff for you? Clothes for yourself? Do you have different emergency kits put away for yourself? Think about all the things you can do in a prepping sense just for you. Not your family, just for you right now. Think about it as that. The next thing, reach down into your pockets. What do you guys have on you? Your EDC, what are you carrying right now? If an emergency was to happen right now, how prepared are you? Do you have a way to start a fire? Do you have a cutting tool? Do you have a way to get out of town? Think of all the stuff that you have on you that will help you out. If you have nothing on you right now and you're sitting in your slippers eating Cheetos, you might want to get a little better than that. The next thing we're going to talk about is personal fitness. Now, not all of us are big, huge, great athletes. I know a long time ago I was very athletic. Last couple of years I've kind of slowed down. I've really not put a lot of effort into it, and I need to. That's something I really need to work on, and I know that in my heart. You guys may feel the same way, or you guys may be really good at that. Maybe that's one of your biggest strengths. But you guys need to think about this stuff before we move on to number 2. So let's get started after you get all that stuff written down on number 2. In number 2, represented by the orange, this represents your loved ones. This is the next ring out, the next most important thing to yourselves. So let me set this aside. Let's talk about your loved ones. You may love them, but what skills do they have? It's not to say you're going to kick them out because they don't know anything. Maybe you need to do a better job educating them. Help them out. Help them to learn more. That'll help you out in the long run. It'll help them out in the long run in case something happens to you. What preparations has your family done? Has your family done nothing but sit in front of the TV and learn nothing? Maybe they need to go out, learn some of these skills, maybe not necessarily put away their own food, but help joining in with you. Maybe they just need to learn a little more. Maybe they'd love to do it with you if you put away more stuff and taught them what they're going to use it for. Number 3 here on this little list is biggest weaknesses. What is their biggest weakness? Think about it. If you were going to attack this person, I know that sounds really horrible, but if you were going to attack this person, what would you do to them? Where would they fail? Think about it. If you were sneaking into your house and they didn't know it was you, where would they fail? That's very important to know. If you know their biggest weaknesses, you can help teach them to cover that up. The next little thing on this list is their advantages. What do they bring to the table for you? Like I said before, this is not to kick them out or anything like that or stop loving them. This is just what is their advantages for you. What do they help you with? What skills do they have that you don't? I know there's plenty of people who have more skills than me. Maybe you have someone in your family, your loved ones, who's a doctor. Maybe you have someone who knows a lot about self-defense. These could be great things to you. Now, what are their biggest disadvantages? Maybe it's not their biggest weakness, but what other disadvantages do they have? Are they handicapped in any way? Do they rely on medication? What can you do to help those out to alleviate the problems that may happen with those disadvantages? So after you get that stuff written down, let's move on to number 3. Alright, number 3. Number 3 right here in the yellow ring represents the next level, and it is your survival group. These may not necessarily be loved ones. They may be your neighbors who are next to you, who you really like and trust. They may be friends, extended family, people not in your immediate circle. These people, when you look at them, what skills do they have? Just like your family, think about it. What do they know that you don't? What do you know that they don't? How do you help them out? The next important thing is group dynamics. Think about this. People don't necessarily always get along. Are they a hindrance to you? Are they a benefit to you? Are they a benefit to others? Are they someone you don't want around, even though they're someone you might think of as prepared? Maybe they just don't fit in. In your survival group, these may not be people you want around. What type of preparations have they done? Has they gone out and have they learned to put away food, to put away water? Have they done the same steps you have done in their personal number 1 ring? Think about that. Also, what are these guys' biggest weaknesses? If you were going to attack these people, where would they fail? Just like before, I know it sounds bad, but you got to be the wolf mentally. Think about it. Be the wolf mentally. That way you guys can be the sheepdog later. So think of their biggest weaknesses. And just like before, advantages they bring to the table. How can they help you out? Maybe they're great at just group morale. Maybe they're great at putting a smile on other people's faces. That can be a great thing to have around when everyone's down in the dumps. When everyone's very sad, that could be a good thing. Their biggest disadvantages as well. Maybe, like I said before, maybe they rely on medication. Maybe they don't like certain types of food. What can you do to alleviate these problems or lessen them for the overall survival group? So write that stuff down. Let's move on to the next thing, which is number 4. The next ring is number 4, which is denoted by the blue here. It's very critical to your survival. In fact, it's one of the most important ones, which is your living quarters. Remember, be honest. If you're not honest, this isn't going to help you, and you guys won't benefit from it. So think about it. How much preparations have you put into your living quarters? What weaknesses do you have right now? What have you put off? What can you do now that will help you in a long-term emergency? Think about that. Think about your living quarters, your defense plan. If something was to arise by threats, can you defend your living quarters, your family, and yourselves? When you do this mentally, think about this. Pretend somehow you're your own clone, and you want to go attack your clone. Think about this. Be your own wolf. What would you do? What's your biggest weaknesses? Think about that. You know your biggest weaknesses. You may not want to admit it, but you know maybe your front door is weak. Maybe you have no lights on in your backyard. Maybe you have no food or water and someone can exploit that. Be your own wolf when you're thinking about this. That way you can save yourselves later. Next, think about your other biggest weaknesses, such as maybe you don't have enough water in your preparations. Maybe your survivor group is not all living close enough to get to the living quarters. Maybe you need to think about sleep plans and watches and stuff like that. Very important things that could be critical to your survival. The last thing on this list is combat multipliers. Do you own the night? Do you have a great watch when your guys are sleeping? Maybe you have night vision. Maybe you guys have good spotlights. It doesn't matter, but what do you have to your advantage that other groups don't? Because it could ensure your survival in case of an attack or other threats happening. Now let's move on to the next one after you guys get done writing that down. The next ring denoted by the green is very critical as well. It has to do with your immediate area, your neighborhood, not just your living quarters, but the places around you, your neighbors, people maybe across the street. What are they doing? Think about this. What are the conditions? First of all, we'll talk about that. Is winter coming? Is it getting colder? Is it getting hotter? Think about the weather. What can you do in those conditions? What haven't you done to prepare for those conditions? Next thing on the list is stability. How is the area? Are there a lot of tensions? Is there things going on in your immediate area? Maybe yesterday you were watching and you saw some house get looted. Are you next on that list? Think about that. Write that stuff down. Get mental images in your head. Okay, infrastructure. Is it down or is it up? Do you have power? Do you have running water? If you don't, do you have a way to replace these things? Or to at least alleviate problems that are coming from the absence of not having these? Think about that infrastructure. Maybe a way to bring it back up. Resources. In the immediate area, what do you have for resources? Think about this. Do you have a pond close to your house? Do you have a well? Do you have a garden that someone's planted and abandoned? Do you have someone who has fruit trees in their yard? These are all important things. Maybe someone has a backyard pool full of water that you can purify water out of. The next thing on the list is threats. Like I mentioned before, what's going on in your neighborhood? Have you seen people who look suspicious? Are things going down that could really affect you in the future? Really think about this because it could be critical to your survival. You guys need to remember, be honest about this. I'm not trying to scare you and I'm not trying to pressure you into anything, but this will help the more honest you are and the better you are at writing these lists. Let's move on to the last ring. The last area, not so much a ring, but area, is number 6 denoted by the white. It has to do with everything else. The wide expanse of everything else. I just call it beyond. Do you have alternate locations to go to? Have you scouted these locations? Are you able and mobile enough to leave to go to these places if you have to? What is the stability beyond your neighborhood? Are things going down that could be really bad? Think about this. You guys really want to know what's going on. You guys want information. Resources. What resources are beyond your neighborhood? Maybe you know a couple miles down the road there's a river. In that river you have water all year round. That could be very critical to your survival. It could be something that could save your family's life. If you think about it, remember the rule of threes. We always talk about this in my videos. You're going to have 3 hours of exposure, so you need a place to stay. You're going to have 3 days without water before you die. So you need water. You can have 3 weeks without food and still live. Think about these things, guys. The rule of threes. Threats. What threats are beyond? Have you heard things happening beyond? Maybe it's in the state over from you. Maybe you heard someone took over a town and bad things were going on. You've just heard it through the grapevine and it's something you should be aware of. Being aware can be something that can save your life. Just having knowledge or just having your awareness peaked to know that something could be happening in the future because it's happened someplace else. It's called learning from history. It's very important. And the last thing on my entire list is progression. How do you evolve? I know that sounds a little silly, but how do you evolve? When things go bad and you're running out of everything, what do you do to progress? Do you have a way to sustain yourself? Not just through food, but through mental stability, through your loved ones surviving, through everything. You guys really want to think about progressing. How do you evolve in these situations? Because it can be stressful. And I'll be honest, I fully expect many people to pass away through stress or not being prepared and not taking the proper actions while things are going on. What can you do to progress and evolve? So anyway, guys, that's all I have. I just threw this video together. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. I just think it's something to get you guys thinking about this. I hope you guys learned something from the video. Do video responses. I love video responses. I love knowing what you guys think. I love comments. Leave me comments, even if you think it's no important comment. I still like to read it. I want to know what you guys think. Rate the video. I love seeing ratings on the video. Good or bad, it helps me get better at it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Rate, comment, subscribe. This is Legend, and I'll talk to you guys later.